Is this going?
Yes.
Go.
Okay.
Hey guys, welcome back. If you are new here, I am Caitlin. Please like, share, and subscribe our video. So last time we did more of like the medical aspect of our girls' NICU journey. And today I'm gonna talk more about the real journey, the emotional things, like what we experienced as the parents and having babies in the NICU and what our life was like for like the first 7 weeks of their lives. So we will start with everything I missed out on. So my girls were born at 30 weeks and I was lucky that I had the time to prepare myself. I say that all the time. I was lucky that I knew they were gonna come early because I had the time to tell myself, you're not going to be able to do all of the things that other moms get to do. I really wanted to be able to do skin to skin immediately. I wanted to be able to do delayed cord clamping. I wanted to be able to nurse immediately. All of those things were not possible with 30-week children. So they, of course, were immediately whisked away to the NICU, and thank goodness I had 30 weeks to prepare myself for that because I might have been a mess if I hadn't. So I was prepared for that. That was okay. I went to recovery. The girls went to the NICU and they were stabilizing them. And that is pretty much when our journey started. I did not get to go see my girls for a good 6 hours. The girls were born at 9:45 and we did not get to see them until almost 4 o'clock in the morning. And you better believe that I stayed up and asked, begged, demanded to see them like every 5 minutes. So we got to go over, my parents were there, and then Chris's parents, when my water broke and we found, realized that I was gonna have them that day, they went ahead and hopped in the car and drove down. And I think that they actually made it like right before the girls were delivered, but I mean, it didn't really matter if they were there or not, like right when they were delivered, because of the C-section, nobody got to see them. So they were there though when I was in recovery. They came to see us and everything. So my parents were there and his parents were both there, and they also waited to be able to see the girls with us. So one thing about the NICU is different NICUs have different rules. Our NICU, you could only have 2 people at the bedside. And then also our girls were born in flu and RSV season, so you couldn't have any children on the mother-baby floor or in the NICU. So because we had 3 children, that meant that we got to have 6 people at the bedside. So it was perfect because we had Chris and I, my mom and dad, Chris's mom and dad. So I am in a wheelchair. We learn how to scrub in, what we're gonna have to do every single time we go to see them. We get scrubbed in and we go to their bedside, and they were so tiny. Like seriously, the palm of my hand. I mean, lengthwise they were longer, but like they could have curled up definitely in the palm of Chris's hand. So again, I was lucky because I had the 30 weeks to prepare myself that they were gonna be early. I knew how much they weighed. Their last weights were like barely 1 pound. So the day that Presley ruptured her membranes, I asked my doctor to do a growth scan so that we could see more closely what their weights would be, and he was within an ounce. So I already pretty much knew how much they were gonna weigh. So I knew they were gonna be tiny. I knew that they were gonna have cords. I have a semi-medical background. I'm a speech therapist and work with kids and have experience in hospitals and all of those things, a lot of anatomy and physiology courses. And so the medical type of stuff really didn't bother me. I knew that I knew there were gonna be a lot of cords, a lot of probes, a a lot of lines. Like, I knew that. So again, I was lucky because I was expecting it. So the hardest part then is all of the emotional things that come with this. I say a lot of times, and I'm sorry if this sounds negative, but having triplets steals all of your normalcy. Don't get me wrong, there are several triplet moms who make it to term and they have take-home babies, but the majority of us don't. And you just don't realize how many things you don't get to experience normally. My pregnancy wasn't normal. My labor and delivery wasn't normal. Our going home wasn't normal. Like, nothing was normal. And so that is hard. Like, when all you want is to be able to do the normal things. I didn't even get to have 3 pregnancies to get 3 children. And so many people say that all the time. Oh, you're so lucky. You had 1 pregnancy and you got all 3 of your babies from it. You must be so excited. You must be done. I wanted 3 different pregnancies. I wanted to raise 3 children independently of each other. And we do raise them. They are their own people. We treat them differently. We see their differences. But you fall into a schedule and habits. It's like a conveyor belt. Like, I have to get all 3 of them dressed. We have to do those things. I have to feed all 3 of you at the same time. I have to put you all down. I have to give you a bath. I can't say, oh, Millie, why don't you go watch TV while I give the baby a bath? You know, or let me put the baby down for a nap and Millie, let's go read books. Like, we don't have that. And so everybody just, it's easy for them to become lumped together as one because you're always doing things as a unit. So that was another thing. I'll tell you the hardest thing probably was when we had those babies and they were in the NICU, they really weren't our babies. I think that's something that a lot of people struggle with. In the beginning, you know, we went in and our nurses, we had Jennifer had Hayes, and I believe that Darielle had both Millie and Presley. And so in the NICU, they were set up. So our NICU was just a long line and the beds were on either side. And so when we were in, we had on the left side of our unit was Hayes and Millie. And then Presley was directly across from Millie. So Jennifer had Hayes, and then I'm pretty sure that Darielle had both Millie and Presley that night. And we were able to go in, and that night we were able to touch them and like put our hands on them. You can't stroke them. You can't pat them. You can't do anything that really is going to stimulate them because they really don't need that stimulation. So anything is just very soft but firm pressure. And that was it. So for the first maybe a week or so, that was it. We got to touch them, and that was pretty much it. I feel like most of our nurses were good about letting us go ahead and start like doing their diapers and helping with temps and things like that from the beginning. It had to be done, so whether it was done by me or them really didn't make a difference. I will not forget the very first time that I got to hold Presley, and I thank God that it happened. So Cindy, one of our favorite nurses, well, all of them were our favorites, honestly, but Cindy had Presley, and I felt like I couldn't ask to hold them. Like, I felt like, I don't know, I just felt like I couldn't ask them if I could hold them. And luckily Cindy asked if I wanted to hold Presley. And so of course I was like, yes, absolutely. And I'm so thankful that she did, because Presley was our weakest. And I probably didn't get to hold her for a good 4 days afterwards. And I would just be so sad, and I would hold Millie and I would hold Hayes, and I would want so badly to go hold Presley, but we couldn't because they didn't want her to desat or, you know, have apnea, any of those things. So I didn't get to hold my Presley for a while. So I'm super thankful all the time that Cindy was there that day and asked me if I wanted to hold her, because I wouldn't have asked to hold her. So we had that. And then as they got older, I got to the point where if I know how to move them and I can get them out and hold them, they're stable, I'm gonna get them out and hold them. Sorry. So luckily, I did get the confidence to go ahead and just take them out of their isolettes and hold them when I knew that they were stable. Obviously, when they were a week old, 2 weeks old, I wasn't doing that. But probably around 3-4 weeks maybe, I went ahead and I would get them out myself and hold them. So those were really hard things. Like, you just felt like they weren't yours. Like, you had to ask permission to love your child. You had to ask for permission to hold your child when, if I was at home with these babies, I would be doing whatever I wanted. So that's kind of a hard thing. And then another, I think the hardest thing for me was all of the other babies that were sicker than ours. And I really, I'm gonna try not to cry here, but I know that it's not gonna happen. There was a baby in a situation that I will never forget, ever. I think that it was March 1st. I believe that it was March 1st. My girls had been there about 2 weeks, and my mom and I were in the NICU, and it was about 3 o'clock. It was about 3 o'clock, and my mom was there. No, she didn't work that day. She came over and came to see the babies, and she was there for maybe 30 minutes, 45 minutes, I'm not sure. And the baby next to us, so there was kind of, there was like a sink in between Millie's bed and this baby's bed. And she was itty bitty. I think she was like a 24, 25 weeker. But she had been doing well. She was several days old. She had been doing well. She was stable. Her parents had been there around lunchtime and left. And my mom was there at about 3, and she had started having a lot of spells and was alarming a lot for desats and things like that. And my mom left about 3:30, I think, and this baby just kept alarming. And the way that our NICU worked is that each baby has a monitor and a number. And if a baby desats for long enough, stops breathing long enough, heart rate is either high or low, then that baby's number and graphs will pop up on every screen in the NICU, so that wherever their nurses, they can see what's going on and who the baby is, all of those things. So this baby's kept alarming, and it would keep popping up on the screen. And it just started becoming more and more frequent. And I was holding Hayes, and I, for some reason, had the song How Great Thou Art stuck in my head all day long, and I was singing it to her, and I was holding her, and all of a sudden I knew that something was different. Heard the nurses came by, and we had screens, And like if a mother was breastfeeding or if they were trying to stabilize a baby, they would get these screens out. And so a few of the nurses ran by and got the screens and set the screens up. Sorry. And I sat there and I could just tell that something was wrong. One of the nurses, I know who, but I'm not gonna say who, was asking, are they here yet? Are they here? Are they, if they're scrubbing in, tell them not to scrub in, tell them to come in. And I sat there and I rocked Hayes and I sang to her. And all that I wanted to do was to put my baby down, who was stable and healthy, and go hold that baby while her parents were there. And I just kept seeing her monitor would pop up on all of our screens, and I just sat there and watched as her little heart would start and stop and start and stop. And finally, it couldn't start again. And her mom and dad didn't make it back in time. And I just sat there realizing how different it could have been for us, that we could have been in that same situation. And one of the hardest things for me to this day is that I didn't know how to react. I saw her parents after they finally did get there in the hall. And I wanted so badly to go and tell them that their baby wasn't alone, that their baby felt love while she was there, that the nurses did everything that they could, that the nurses held her and loved her, and that all that I had wanted to do was to go and hold her for them. And I couldn't say anything. I didn't know if I should say anything, but I wish that I had. I really wish that I had told them that their little girl wasn't alone, and that we were praying for her and singing praises to Jesus. And so I had 3 babies in the NICU who statistically, when you have multiples, triplets, high orders, they shouldn't have such an easy NICU stay, and we did. So that made it really difficult. Things like that. And I went back to my room that night, and our hospital was right in the middle of downtown Atlanta, and my room had the most amazing view of the skyline, and I'll never forget that there was the most gorgeous sunset that night. And I just sat there and cried and didn't understand why she had been doing so well. Sometimes there's just not a reason. So even though my children had an easier NICU journey, emotionally, we didn't necessarily have the easiest journey. We had the most amazing nurses. So let's flip it and go back to the complete opposite side. Our NICU has the most amazing nurses. So while I had all of these hard times and things like that, I got to sit all day with some of the most amazing women,. and made new friends and laughed and joked and told stories and shared stories. One of our nurses had also gone through infertility and had twins, and so we developed these relationships. I was in that NICU all day from morning to morning. Like, I know that they were like, Caitlin, go away. Like, go. It's 3 o'clock in the morning. Don't come back. So I was there and developed really close friendships with these people who were taking care of our babies and everybody else's babies. And while we were in the NICU, all that I wanted to do was go home, and I just wanted to get my babies home. And I didn't realize how much I was going to miss it once we were home. Hayes went home first. She went home on, I think, a Tuesday. And then Millie went home. I think Hayes went home on Wednesday. I think Millie went home Friday. And then Presley came home Saturday, the Saturday before Easter. And then we were all home together for Easter Sunday. And I didn't realize how much I was gonna miss all of my friends at the NICU. I had been there for 47 days, consistently all day long, and all of a sudden I did not have my friends to talk to. Dorothy wasn't joking about taking the girls for pizza, and it was crazy. I wasn't able to talk to Kim about our journeys, and Cindy wasn't there, and there were just so many. I wasn't being fussed at for eating the ice or drinking the water. Nobody was bringing me ice or water anymore. And so it was crazy to me. I was not expecting to miss it. And they really tried me not to get to, they really tried to get me to not rush home and take the babies home, that I was gonna have all of this time. I may as well stay. And if you know me, you know I am stubborn, and I took those babies home. I wanted to go home. We wanted to go, and that was what I did. And I missed it. I missed it a lot. Even obviously with as hard as it was, there was still so much good that came from it too. We met people that will be in our lives forever. And I'm really thankful for them. Another thing, this is kind of random, but another thing for me, a lot of people get really upset or frustrated when the nurses say, oh, this is my baby. And I do believe that it depends on tone, because some people would say that and it really rubbed me the wrong way. But almost all of the nurses, I was okay when they said that, because I knew that they meant it, and that when I wasn't there, that they were taking care of them like they were their babies. So that was comforting for me also. A lot of people don't like it because we already have to give up so much control to them that it's not your baby, it's my baby, so don't call it your baby. But it really was kind of comforting to me, because I knew that they meant it, and I knew that they were taking care of them like they were their babies. So I was okay with it. Like I said, we developed some long-lasting friendships. Majority of our nurses were invited and will always be invited to our girls' birthday parties. Without them, these girls wouldn't be here. Even though they were healthy for 30 weekers, if we didn't have these nurses, they would not be here. If we didn't have the doctors and the physicians that we had that took care of them, we wouldn't be here. So, like I said, good and bad. It's a super crazy journey. They always tell you it's not linear. It's like a roller coaster. It goes up and down. You'll take 2 steps forward and 1 step back. 1 step forward, 2 steps back. it's a crazy journey, but we made it and we came home and we had an amazing Easter, the first day that all 3 of them were home. And then our life at home began, which was crazy. So thank you for watching today. We'll pick up where we go home next time. And then we're also gonna start vlogging, like now that we've kind of caught up to our story, we're gonna start doing fun videos. So if you have watched this far and have ideas or videos or anything that you would like for us to do videos on or vlogs, please comment down below so that we can see those and shoot some videos for you. So please remember to like, share, and subscribe this video, and we will catch you next time. Bye.